Hey guys, welcome to the Hope That Heals You with me, Marie Nazria. You know, where I talk about all different kinds of subjects and things. I love to talk about personal experiences because that's where I learn the most. That's where I learn the most. So today I want to talk about stepmomming. I am newly a stepmom and I love it. It's amazing. It does have its challenges though. There is a lot to navigate there. And if you are a parent, you already know what I'm talking about because you're a parent. And children are a huge responsibility and a big undertaking. So I became a stepmom about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, and this was my first relationship with somebody with a child, and I did not take it lightly. There's so much I can talk about. I can talk about this subject for hours, but I just kind of wanted to touch on a couple of things. I also came from a home where I had a stepmom. So luckily, and I'm very grateful for this, I have a lot of insight from the other side, from being the stepchild. And it was very challenging for me. My stepmom was not a nice person. She was cold. She never was really kind, honestly. And so I knew that if I ever was going to be a stepmom, that I needed to be the opposite of her. And it's so interesting because I am the opposite of her. But it's also still very challenging to navigate. I do want to share a couple of things about being a stepmom from the perspective of someone who was a stepchild. The first thing I want to share that's very, very important for a stepmom is do not compete with the child for the father's love. You are not their child. There is a completely different love that exists between a child and their parent. This is not a competition. I experienced that a lot, unfortunately, in my relationship with my stepmom. I truly believe that she wanted to be my father's child as well. And she was very competitive and jealous of me and my siblings. So, unfortunately. However, that there is a very interesting dynamic that occurs. For example, my stepdaughter and her father have the most beautiful relationship and so much love. And it actually reminds me of me and my father. And I've had to make a lot of adjustments because when we don't have her, because we co-parent, I get all his love, right? Technically. And then when she comes, she gets a lot of his love. And there have been times, because I am a human being, where I'm like, wait, I want to hug you. I want to kiss you. I want to this. I want to that. And the dynamic changes when there's a child in the home. And you have to accept that. You have to know that that's not a bad thing. It's a normal thing. There's another person in the home. And we have explained also to my stepdaughter, that our love is different. There have been moments where she feels like, but this is my dad, this is my love, like, don't love her more than you love me. And I think that's totally normal. And I'm so grateful that she communicates that, because then we can have a conversation with her. But sometimes kids also are not going to communicate that. They're just going to act out. So be very mindful of that. It's not a competition. It's super important that if you're going to become a stepmom, or you are a stepmom, that you do not put yourself on the same level as your partner and their child. That is a completely different relationship. There needs to be really important boundaries set in regards to that in order to have healthy relationships. Something else that I don't take for granted is I have now become an adult in this child's life, and I can either show her good examples and support her and guide her, or I can do the opposite. Why would I want to do the opposite? That makes no sense to me. I don't want to scar this child. I don't want to make this child's life harder. This doesn't make any sense to me. So I choose to consciously help her, guide her. Now, there is a line. I did enter as a friend of hers, so to speak, But there is a line where I had to assume a role of an adult because I am not her friend, I am not a child, etc. So that was a big important moment for us. Another thing is I accepted I'm not her mother. She has a mother. I am not jealous of her mother. I am not mad at her mother. That is their relationship. I really like to believe, and I live my life like this. I love to put myself in the shoes of others before I make decisions to get perspective. If I only have my perspective, I'm a little bit blind. And so when I entered this relationship, it was very, very, very important to me that I respect her mother and his ex-wife, because I'm not here to make problems. I am here to live a beautiful life with the partner of my choosing who has this history with this woman and has this beautiful child because of it. So it's so important to really have your boundaries and understand where you stand. I am the partner of my spouse. I have a role and a responsibility to my stepdaughter. She is not my child. I am more than happy to support her when she needs me as a female adult, which I do, but I'm not her mom. Why would I want to be her mom? She has a mom. I put myself in the perspective of what if I had a child and it didn't work out and my ex-husband meets a girl. I don't want her thinking or even becoming something like the mother of my child. That's crazy to me. So I put myself in that perspective, and I think that has really lent itself and helped me navigate being a stepmother. And another very, very important thing is the communication between you and your partner. When I met my partner, I was a little bit hesitant to the fact that he had a child, and it wasn't until I saw how he parents and totally agree with the way that he parents that I was like, I think I can get on board. There were limits, there were boundaries, there was respect. It was really aligned with the way I was raised. So I really spoke and understood the language. I think that if you don't, it can be very challenging. Like I went on a date with someone way before I met my partner, my husband, and he had children, and his child rearing was like off the charts, something else, something that I did not align with. So I already knew, and I can imagine that if I would have continued that relationship, there would have been so many problems about raising the children when they're with us, etc. And I think it's like just like being your own parents. Like you don't know how your husband's going to be a father until he is, and then you have to adapt and or work and make a lot of adjustments when you're parenting kids because you might have different techniques, you were raised differently, etc. So I think it's really important to understand how your partner parents, respect that or not, and if you don't, you have to think about how that's going to affect your life because this child is coming in. And for me, upholding a healthy, safe, vibrant place for a child is very, very important. So whenever we have his daughter, I am like, just doing everything. I am over the top because I want her to feel safe, loved, nurtured, not in competition, not in anxiety mode. I want her to feel safe because that's how children should feel. They shouldn't feel like how I felt as a child. So I really try to impart that in the energy of our home, but there is a boundary. This is my home. This is my husband's home and our daughter's home, but there are rules and we abide by them. And my partner supports me in child rearing, if you will, to an extent, which is the extent that we have already discussed and I am comfortable with. So be mindful of that if you're a stepmom or a stepfather, honestly. Like, we have a responsibility. Don't get in a relationship with someone who has children if you're not going to be patient, learn, grow, and think of the betterment of the child, because that child is with you. It's not like, oh, you have a child, great, we're going to get rid of them somehow. Like, that's not how this works. So you have to be all in, supporting your partner, the child, etc., putting on the hat and then taking off the hat. And I think it can be a really beautiful experience. So far, it's been a beautiful experience. Definitely learning curves for me, but I'm blessed that I had the experience of the negative stepmomming, so I was able to become a really good stepmom. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. I know there's a lot of different variables in step parenting, and I'm only on the beginning of my journey, but I have a lot of hope. Subscribe, like, share. If this helped you, can help someone else, please do. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.